Coach Greg Adams called it. The enemy is at the gate, and the Thot-Pocalypse is upon us. What you need to do. A couple of months ago, I watched a video by Coach Greg Adams, and he was talking about what it was going to take to balance the scales of, the insanity that feminism and the just the sick slut attitude of modern day women in our country. What it was going to take to have a balance, a reset. And one of the things that he said was that we were going to have to encounter some sort of catastrophe, some sort of reset. And when I watched that video, I thought that was an awesome message, because I've always felt like that about our society in general. I feel like we as Americans have become very complacent and very, very comfortable, and most of the men that I see, they have this facade of toughness, but after you crack that layer of bullshit, all of us have stories of heartbreak, heartache, some sort of tragedy, and usually has to do with a woman. And so, the MGTOW community, the Red Pill community, anything that has to do with men waking up and seeing the truth behind all the bullshit Disney fairy tale, romance lies that we've been told. There's a huge awakening going on right now, and one of the things that Coach said was it was going to take a major event to make women see that the shit that they were saying was absolutely fucking retarded. Well, the guys that I work with in my program at the Gladiator Farm, most of them are veterans, and 100% of them have dealt with a situation where they have had to try to understand a woman's hypergamy. And so, since I started this group in 2017, we have, as a collective group of men, we have held one another accountable to what we say we want, and we've also protected one another against, backtracking and doing shit that is absolutely detrimental to what's going to be the best for our lives. And so, as this group has grown, and we've gained power and understanding that we are indeed the prize in this situation, it's still human nature to have those feelings. A lot of people like to act like they don't, that they don't still have that vulnerability, but we're humans. And as humans, we're better together than we are apart. But the problem is that the way that things have gone today in our world, it doesn't make any sense for a man to dedicate himself and give himself and give of himself to a woman who is monkey branching and parlaying several different situations to her own benefit. And so, I'm very wary of love, and the men that I'm dealing with, I've educated them on what they have mistakenly confused as love, because everybody, once you reach a certain age, or once you reach a certain point of wisdom, you realize that the love that you feel is just a chemical reaction inside your body that is trying to get you to procreate. And we're just animals. On that level, we're just animals. And most of us never stop operating on this animalistic urge. So we see a hot girl, we want to bone her down, and instead of going through the checklist, she's a single mom, she's got a high body count, she's got fucking crazy slut eyes or whatever. Our biology makes us check off all that stuff, and we don't think with our minds. And what we do in my group with men, we really hold each other accountable to what we tell each other that we want to do. And in the conversations we come out with, the Medusa who brought us to our knees is they're generally the catalyst behind all the improvement, changes, fortifications, and whatnot. So, when this CV-19 shit jumped off a couple of weekends ago, I warned my guys, be aware of the fucking zombies. The fucking zombies are going to come for certain, because most of these women that are on the cot carousel, they're very reliant on mobility, and so the social media gives them access to multiple horses for their carousel, but they've got to be mobile. And so the lockdown, or self quarantine, or whatever you want to call it, whatever they're calling it, that kind of checks out the mobility. But also a lot of men that are not absolute fucktards, they don't want to deal with random sluts, because they know that these women are like McDonald's. They're a drive-through for dick, and they don't want to deal with that. And so what you're going to find is, their resources are cut down dramatically. And so you've got that part of it. Well, the other part of it is the lack of finance, the finances. So most of these worthless women, they have jobs that are meaningless. And unless they're Walmart workers or whatever, or they work at a grocery store, a lot of them, they're not employed right now. They're non-essential. They don't work in essential businesses. And even if they do, there's no client flow. So most of these women are going to find themselves on financial hardship. You cut down their access to men, you cut down their mobility, and then you cut down their resources. You basically have a night of the living dead. And so I really warn my guys, listen, man, you need to be very cautious and very mindful of all of the hoovering that's going to happen with these narcissistic cunts who, pretty much left you for dead. And, so most of my guys they're heavily fortified men that, they've gone down the path of what they want to do to such an extent that there's going to be no insurgency in their cause. But some of the younger men, they're a little bit more vulnerable because they don't have as much experience as some of the other guys. And about a month or so ago, I made a video about, what to do if your girlfriend, wife, whatever, cheats on you. Well, one of the guys, the guy that was the topic of that video, this dude is highly susceptible to, to this problem. And I put a lot of effort into talking to him and making sure that he knew that his estate was going to be prime. It was going to be a prime target for these Thot-Pocalypse zombies, because this guy is such a good dude that, he's treated these whores exceptionally well, way beyond what they deserve. And so he's not a beta guy at all. He's an alpha with blue pill tendencies. And so, I've been chunking the pill down his throat regularly, making sure that he stays on point. And as a OG dude, as a father, if you will, it always makes you proud when your students, when your children, listen to the lessons that you teach them, but even more so when you see them exercising the skill set that you give them. It's fantastic. And so this kid, I told him, beware of that whore that you left, the one that made the mistake, because this girl she's worthless. And I saw some of the dudes that she cheated on him with. These guys that she likes to fuck are your typical Jersey Shore, backwards baseball cap fags, just fucking douchebag dudes. And I know for certain that these dudes have zero to offer outside of their physicality, because if you look at when you look at their social media, it's evident. You can tell what a person is by what they hang up on the wall. And all of these guys are, they're your typical cookie cutter alpha, just tools. And these guys are generally broke, or they're scamming some chick out of money to go take out other chicks, just like chicks do. I mean, these are just the male version of the thought. And so I had no question whatsoever that this bitch was going to come around and try to find shelter in this man, because he spent a lot of time making himself better. He's acquired property. He's acquired wealth for himself now, and he's secure. He's happy. And this quarantine, it hasn't changed his life at all because he's got control over his life. He's his own boss. He's found multiple streams to make income, and he's living the life that he wants to live. So, I knew that he was fortified, but I was still concerned because, like most red pill coaches will espouse, most guys are a blowjob away from getting their Kunta Kinte back on. And so with my dude, I've been worried about him. Well, just the other day I got the phone call that all coaches, dads, leaders, men like to get from men that they are, that they lead. And just as sure as the sun rises, this chick has run into a situation where all of her fuck buddies, they've closed ranks. They found, whatever shelter they have, whatever thought that they want to bring into their shelter situation, their girlfriend, wife, whatever their situation is, this girl is no longer viable to them because these guys can't move. So whatever it was before, it is no longer. And she's desperate because she's got just a fucktard job that a retarded monkey could do, and they're closed down. So, she doesn't have the ability to use her peace leave to generate the income and the security that she had before. She's desperately waiting for this stimulus check. And she calls my dude, and sure as shit, she tries to play the card of, I'm sorry, you're such a real man and all this. And it was a beautiful thing because my dude recorded it, and he's too good of a dude. He's better man than me, because I asked him if I could use the recording and to play it, and he didn't want to do it. And I give him props for that, for being a bigger man than I am. But I have to, believe me, gentlemen, it was fucking hilarious, because even though this woman has run through more dicks than bike jock straps have, she still expected this dude to buy this bullshit story that she was telling about loving him, being sorry, and all of this different shit. This is the truth about this situation. And just like Coach said, it's a double-edged sword. We can all see the effects because we're not hearing anything about girl power. We're not hearing any more about strong women or any of that shit. As a matter of fact, we're starting to hear the opposite, because our great president has given these women exactly what they want by making them eligible for the draft. And now the CV-19 situation has leveled the playing field to the point where if you're truly a badass, then you'll be one. But it's extremely quiet. There's no feminists stepping up saying anything about girl power. As a matter of fact, if you look around and you listen real carefully, you will hear these bold, strong, independent, confident bitches desperately crying for someone to save them. They're not crying to one another. They're hoping that some man will. They're looking at our president and hoping that he'll bail them out. So this is what men need to understand. Well, right now, with this virus outbreak, with this quarantine that we have, all of this stuff, it is a wake-up call. But it's not a change of the paradigm. The feminism withers and wilts away whenever there's real shit to deal with. Because only when there's comfort and plenty, only when people are comfortable do they find retarded shit to fight about. The gender pronouns, all of that shit. Do you notice that none of that shit matters now? We need to remember this time, and as men, we need to insist that it remains this way. What I'm telling my dudes is this: do not mistake this desperation, last minute, half court buzzer toss up that these women are throwing to mean anything's changed. This is desperation. It's absolute desperation. Like, that is a woman's nature. You can go look through historical, like, where one country was invading another country. There are records and stories of the women of the country that was being invaded throwing themselves at the soldiers of the invading force just to save themselves. Even if they had a family, they didn't give a shit about anyone but themselves. And that's the way that it goes. Right now, this CV-19 has got their Titanic sinking, and they're desperately trying to go jump on these boats. But the Chads and the Tyrones, they don't want those bitches on their boat. They never did, and that's why they've never vaulted above the position of just being fuck dolls for these guys. So now what you have to realize is this. Even though what they're saying to you right now, even what they're willing to do for you right now, it seems enchanting. It might seem alluring. It might sound true. Because when you're desperate, you are very, very convincing. When you're desperate and when you're hungry, you'll do anything. And so that's what you're dealing with. And you can rest assured, the moment that the cloud starts to go away, the smoke starts to clear, and the dust starts to settle, these bitches will be right back on the carousel. Make no mistake. Even though these guys have rejected them, thrown them to the curb, and let them know their real worth, the moment these thoughts see that the smoke is rising, they will be right back under these dudes. And if you take them in, you will be stomped on again. Guaranteed, man. And so this is what I encourage my men to do. Don't waste any time looking at these. Don't give validation to women during this crisis time. You know, the detachment and the distancing from people, as humans, it makes you lonely. It makes you want to connect. Connect with yourself. Connect with your real self. Go inside and use this time to make yourself a better person. Do not allow yourself to become a cuck by watching porn and jacking off this time away. Don't allow yourself to be a sucker by taking back some chick who has been gobbling the bananas since she departed from you. Don't listen to any of the bullshit stories. The zombies will come knocking the longer this goes. They're going to come knocking and beating on your door, and they're going to sing a beautiful tune for you. Keep them out. Keep them out. At best, at the very best, use them for what they're worth, and then throw them back out. Do not allow them to stay. Do not allow them to get comfortable. Do not allow them to do anything, past servicing your needs. Her needs are not your concern. They weren't your concern when she was going and boning down Chad and Tyrone. Shouldn't be your concern now. As a matter of fact, I take that back. It should be your concern. Before you take that chick in your house, kiss her on her mouth, and do all that shit, remember the fact that Chad and Tyrone have been dogging her out since her ex fell from you. And so when you kiss her on her mouth, and you run in and do all your thing, just keep it on your mind that you're going behind them. And that'll make it a hell of a lot easier for you to keep them on the outside of your shit. Stay strong, man. Use this time constructively. Our world will not be the same when we come out of this. I promise you that. You can't be the same. So do everything that you can to build upon your skills, acquire new skills, whatever you need to do. Come out of this stronger and better than those that are sitting back, being scared, and chasing the Thot-Pocalypse down. Stay into yourself. Pay attention. Keep your eyes open and don't get flanked. Out.